pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Here.
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 All right, I'll accept the motion to go into executive session for collective bargaining matters. Moved by Trustee Williams, second by Trustee Jazinski. Any questions? Please call the roll.
Trustee Brewer? Yes. Trustee Grant?
Yes.
Trustee Lincoln?
Yes.
Trustee Todd?
Yes.
Trustee Williams?
Yes.
Trustee
Yep.
Motion carried. One executive session shouldn't be that long. Opposite word shouldn't be. Okay, I'll entertain a motion to reconvene to regular board meeting.
Second.
Been moved by trustee Bell, second by trustee Jazinski. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Jazinski. Trustee Jazinski, present.
Yes.
Trustee Todd.
Here.
Trustee Williams.
Here.
Trustee Bell.
Yes.
Trustee Brewer. Yes. Present. Present. Trustee Grant.
Yes.
Present.
Okay. Approval of minutes. I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes for the board meeting for September 8th, 2020.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by trustee Williams, second by trustee Jazinski. Any questions? Madam Clerk?
Trustee Todd.
Yes.
Trustee Williams.
Yes.
Trustee Bell.
Yes.
Trustee Brewer. Yes. Trustee Grant.
Yes.
Trustee Jazinski.
Yes.
Motion carried. I'll accept the motion to approve the committee of the whole meeting minutes for September 15th, 2020.
Second.
Moved by trustee Bell, second by trustee Jazinski. Any questions? Madam Clerk?
Trustee Williams.
Yes.
Trustee Bell.
Yes.
Trustee Brewer. Yes. Trustee Grant.
Yes.
Trustee Jazinski.
Yes.
Trustee Todd.
Yes.
Motion carried. Accept the motion to approve the minutes for the special meeting of the budget hearing of September 22nd, 2020.
Second.
Moved by trustee Bell, second by trustee Jazinski. Are there any questions? Madam Clerk?
Trustee Bell.
Yes.
Trustee Brewer. Yes. Trustee Grant.
Yes.
Trustee Jazinski.
Yes.
Trustee Todd.
Yes.
And Trustee Williams.
Yes.
Motion carried. I accept the motion to approve the board minute meetings for September 22nd, 2020.
Second.
Moved by trustee Bell, second by trustee Jazinski. Are there any questions? Madam Clerk?
Trustee Brewer. Yes. Trustee Grant.
Yes.
Trustee Jazinski.
Yes.
Trustee Todd.
Yes.
Trustee Williams. Yes. Trustee Bell.
Yes. Motion carried. And I'll ask for a motion to approve the minutes for the special board meeting on September 29th, 2020.
So moved. Second.
Moved by trustee Williams, second by trustee Jazinski. Are there any questions? Madam Clerk?
Trustee Bell.
Yes.
Trustee Grant.
Yes.
Trustee Jazinski.
Yes.
Trustee Todd.
Yes.
Trustee Williams. Yes. Trustee Bell. Trustee Brewer. Trustee Brewer. Yes.
Motion is carried. Item number 5, public comment. All comments and questions will be directed to the mayor. Each speaker is allowed one opportunity to speak for up to 3 minutes and may not engage in debate or counter replies or rebuttals. At the end of the public comment, I will address the questions. When you come up, please give your name before you start speaking. Wait a minute, I don't think they can hear. I don't think that. No.
Can you just tap the top for me? And we switch off my computer, please?
Just hold it in your hand.
Is that better?
Yep.
My name is Gary Sapp. I just have a couple of things, sir. I'm curious as to how our administrator can, come in after hours and make this business shut down a small entrepreneurship doing business in the village, whether it's right or wrong, I'm not questioning. I'm just curious as to how that's more important than allowing a contractor to come into the village and do business without village authority or a village permit. How is that even possible to be allowed? And another thing I wanted to bring to the attention of this administration is that, I'm not going to call her name out, but soliciting signatures illegally in front of government property and asking a resident to falsify information to receive that signature. Also, using her position as trustee to obtain residential information from a private complex in order to obtain the mailing list of residents. Is that even legal? That's my comment.
The one that's on there is the one that works. Yeah, that's the one that works.
Washington. And I have just a couple of things I want to bring before the mayor and the board tonight. There's quite a few blocks that have roadkill. And I'm just wondering whose job is that to pick up dead animals that throughout the village on the street. Sometimes residents call it in, some of these things may be minute to some people, but it's really disgusting when you drive past here, a road is head split in half and blood is oozing from it. It's just really distasteful. So if you could just let us know who you maybe you could call directly, let them know where it is, because sometimes it could just be an oversight somebody might not know. And then I want to ask you a question in regard to street lights. Driving through the village, there are some blocks that literally have no lights. It is so dark and so dangerous. We had a program called Light Up the Block where we encourage residents to turn on their front and back porch lights. So if it's a very costly thing to have done, they have a street light erected on blocks where there is no light. Some streets have a block on one end, but there's no light on the other end of that block. So if they could encourage the residents to turn on their front and back lights, I know it would be a great help to the police when they're doing their patrolling and when they're trying to look to see. But a lot of residents are feeling unsafe because their lights are just so dark. And now that it's getting darker earlier at 6:30, it's dark longer. Thank you.
There's a hand right there. Thank you. Good morning. Dr. Williams?
There was a resident that wanted me to read her statement. She'll be back in 2 weeks to read her own statement.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh. Ma'am, is someone on the phone? Hello? Okay. Would you go ahead with your... And thank you so much. Do you have any literature that we can pass out or put in one of our social media outlets, or is this all that you have as far as the announcement is concerned? Okay. Thank you so much, and if you can bring, we will do that. And anything that you have on social media, could you email it to the village? That way we can actually, okay? Thank you so much. Anybody? Yes. No, I can't repeat because I don't remember it, but she's saying that there's gonna be programs, that's all that's for the information. Programs for the library, they'll be available, and Deanna, if you correct me if I'm wrong, you said these are for the ongoing programs, people to come up to the library, is that correct? Hello? Okay. Okay. Okay, thank you so very much. Okay. In regards to the answers for the comments and questions, the only thing I can tell you is this is election season, so you're going to see more than just small. There's going to be a lot of back and forth. It's unfortunate that some of these things are happening, but only thing I can tell you is, you know, it's a shame, you know, but as far as for one soliciting illegal signatures, I mean, we don't have a person out there that can monitor everything that goes on to see that. We hope that people that are running for office are doing so with their own integrity and their own forthright. So, you know, it's sad that that's happening, but the only thing I can tell you is my experience saying that it happens every campaign season when it comes to campaigning in the village. As far as the dead animals are concerned on the street, if you see one and you see it more than one day or whatever, please call Village Hall. Because, I mean, Public Works does get out there, but please call Village Hall. We will direct that to Public Works to let them know that that's where, you know, animal is there. And as far as the street lights are concerned, you know, that's an ongoing problem that we have with the street lights, but if you live on a street that has no lights at all, that could be a cul-de-sac. So that was done long time ago when they did the mapping or they did the placement of the street lights, because I do know there are a few spots that have cul-de-sacs that don't have any street lights at all. So that's something that we need to address as a whole. I know it's going to be pretty costly, but you know, something that we should really look at as a village. Okay, with that being said, I can't take.
One of the things you just addressed that I asked.
Oh, okay. As far as I'm sorry, that was the first thing I put down there. As far as the food pop-ups and it being addressed at that time is unfortunate. But if I think right now, I think they're going to be a ruling made on that pretty soon. And it's unfortunate that it happened that way, but there's going to be a ruling on that right now. That's what the process is right now. They're going to the proper people, the proper authorities to make sure that they have the proper paperwork so they can continue to keep, you know, doing that. It's unfortunate that it happened, and it should, but it did happen. And I know it was stated that someone came out after hours, but they're operating after hours. And so, but right now, that particular incident is being looked at and is also being addressed, and it's also being, hopefully it'll be taken care of between now and hopefully by the end of the week, with other authorities, not from the village, but in other areas, health department. That being said, we move on to the mayor's report. I know everyone is, I'm sorry, I got a few calls about people asking about what's going on across 394 and on the south side of the street, all the excavating that is going on. That's a private business that they have overflows, Marco Transport, they have overflow. We met with them today. They have overflow for parking. They own that land, so they're going to put a parking lot there, but we have to kind of halt until the proper paperwork again was presented, and a few other things that had to be taken care of, because when I saw it, I didn't see anything across my desk that said, this is what they were, even though it was said today that I got something for a parking lot. In that case, I would have brought that out. But, so the trustees will know that this is what was transpired today. The owner of Marco Transport came in and showed us plans, but he has to still get permits. He did get a permit for MWRD, but then there's other permits that he has to secure and bonds for that particular property, to make sure, and then give us a plan. And now the plan that he told us he was going to just park trucks, we wanted to make sure that, that's what he's going to do, is just park trailers there, waiting to go into, because he does work for minority warehouse, and that's right there. Minority trucking, which is the warehouse, is right there. So that's the overflow. He does. He owns that land, and he does parking for that particular entity. So that's what he told us, and we're going to get our lawyers involved, make sure that what he said is going to be, and then we'll bring it back before the board, and before we move any further with it. So the board will know about what's going on once we get it written up and bring it before the board. Halloween. Okay. We talked about that last week, and so you can know what was discussed. There will be trick-or-treating on the 31st, but before the trick-or-treating, there will be a trunk-or-treat from 12 to 2 p.m. And the trunk-or-treat, as you know, is going to be at the community center. And I would suggest that anyone that wants to be involved in that, because it's limited spaces, that they get there prior to 12 o'clock on Saturday, the 31st. And that'll be, we will not have a Halloween walk. We used to have a Halloween walk from Rickover to the community center. We're not having that. We just have the trunk or treat, and it'll be from 12 to 2. And the trick or treat hours will be that same Saturday from 4 to 7. And we will be out monitoring, and at 7 o'clock, there will be no more no more trick or treating. And also, if you're going to participate in the trunk or treat, you must wear a mask. Everyone must wear a mask. Even in here tonight, everyone should have a mask on. So I'm asking that everyone that's in here in the room, you should have a mask on also. That being said, the next item is Village Clerk, Ms. Robert Town Group.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and Board of Trustees. Know that what I had to say this evening may be just a little lengthy, and I'm going to ask that you abide with me as I walk through the items that I would like to share with you. First thing I want to talk about is we have our meetings. You guys vote on meetings, on ordinances, resolutions, whatever, and agreements. And then after that, there are follow-up activities that needs to be done, because just your saying yay or nay does not make it happen. There are actions that need to take place the next couple of days to actually put it and make it go into fruition. So I'm going to ask that once ordinances are signed, agreements are signed, in order for me to certify them, in order for me to move them forward, then whoever brings forth that ordinance, resolution, or agreement, you must then present to me the document that needs to be carried out for signatures from the mayor or certified by the clerk's office or whoever is the contact person, and then someone has to be responsible for putting it in the mail. Otherwise, it lays right here where you left it when you voted on it. For instance, the budget has not been filed. Another thing, the union contracts has not been signed. You guys approved the union contract almost a month ago, and it's still awaiting signatures. Okay? In order to transact the business of the village, we have to follow up on the needed activities. Next thing I want to talk about. There was a time, and it was always my desire, for our meetings here to flow very nicely, very succinctly. If you can remember, those of you who were here, we first started off with notebooks, with all your meeting materials in it. And then it was decided they were too cumbersome, so depending on how much literature you have, you may or may not get the folder like you have right now. Well, it's getting more and more and more difficult to get the reports from the department heads. I came to this board not too long ago and made the appeal that we not ask our department heads for meeting a report except for once a month. You decided no, you wanted it every 2 weeks. Well, if you want reports every 2 weeks, then it's up to you to make certain that they come. I may make it look easy, but know that it's getting more and more frustrating and more difficult to present to you a full packet of all of the materials so that you would have them on Friday, so that you could spend your wonderful, glorious weekend reading through all of that wonderful stuff that I put together. But today, I got one report Sunday at 11:30 at night. I got a couple more this afternoon. And even though I appreciate finally getting them, after I have to go before our department heads to insist that we have them so that we're not all passing out, throwing paper all across the dais, we have to present ourselves in a professional manner. And so, trustees, you're going to need to decide, do you still want them every 2 weeks? Then if you want them every 2 weeks, the village clerk should not have to chase down anyone. If really you can go to once a month, which was my recommendation, whatever it is, you guys have to say what you want and insist on what you want. All of those little extra sheets that you got in your mailbox, and then even I had to put some out today, all of that wouldn't happen. It's not supposed to happen. Reports are supposed to be in at 10 o'clock, by 10 o'clock on Friday preceding the meeting on Tuesday. I don't want to be the reports police, but I do want you to have what you need to have in order to do the job and to do the work on behalf of the residents of the village. So I'm going to ask that you guys decide what you're going to do and respond accordingly. I replaced some signs today on the seating to ensure social distancing, and it's good to see that we are all practicing social distancing. So right now I won't preach to the choir. The codification agreement, we talked about that at the last committee meeting, and we stated that we would approve that. That is on the agenda this evening for approval. And I received a formal document today, and I put that in your packet, in your mailboxes, so you will see what needs to be signed and the agreement based on your desire to have the ordinances codified quarterly. Where amendments are concerned to ordinances and resolutions, I continue to say sometimes we move too fast. You move too fast. And what your desire is does not always manifest. An example, you have an amendment that's coming before you this evening that basically you all stated that you weren't ready to have completed. Well, someone, I don't know who that someone is, decided that you all were going to vote on it at the last board meeting. And guess what? That same ordinance now is being amended tonight because it did not include everything that you all stated that you wanted in the ordinance. So I'm just going to ask that when you commit to something, hold to it, regardless of who attempts to push it down your throat. But then it's easy for you to sit here and say yay or nay and go ahead and vote, and then another, when it's time for it to totally be ratified, we realize that we have to go back and do it all over again. And I'm not a lazy person, and I am not afraid of work. But it makes no sense the number of ordinances and resolutions that we have amended this year simply because it was pushed out the door too soon without your having an opportunity to totally express yourself and or allowing someone else to make the changes that you didn't recommend. So I'm just going to say, people, let's just do a little bit more due diligence as you go about the business of the people. Moving on, a number of people, I'm going to elections now, and mail-in ballots has been solely recommended, opposed to even early voting, and definitely voting on November the 3rd, even though most of you will have the day off because it is a national holiday. However, you still have time to submit for your mail-in ballots and for them to get back to you. On the Sauk Village e-news page, you will see a listing of the actual polling boxes where you would turn in your mail-in ballots. But one thing that I'm going to say to you, and this is very, very, very important, say for instance you have submitted for a mail-in ballot, and that ballot has come to your home or it's headed to your home. Now you decided that you really don't want to mail it in, you want to do it in person, you can do that. But the process of doing that is you would not complete the mail-in ballot. You would take that ballot with you to the polling place and you surrender that to the election judges and you tell them that you changed your mind and that instead you want to vote in person. And then when they give you another ballot, make certain that they do not write anything on your ballot. Nothing. No check mark, no signature, no anything. Because if they write on your ballot, it invalidates your ballot by the time when it's time to count, and we don't want that to happen to you. Moving on, locations for early voting, for ballot drop-off, they're all on Facebook e-news page. So visit that page for that information. I will not put out the actual polling places until they are confirmed by the Cook County Clerk's office, and they've not done that up to this point because there are changes from time to time. With the census update, we've been going back and forth, and it's sort of embarrassing to tell you that we're back on with the census because before they said that we had to end October the 5th. Now it's back on until the end of October. So that push is still there. So if you've not submitted your questionnaire, you still have time to do it. Our rate in terms of our self-reporting is a dismal 63.3%. And we're hoping to at least get to 70. So I'm going to still make a personal appeal to everyone that hear me, that's here, that's on social media, that's listening to the tape recording. Please appeal to everybody that you know to please complete that census. Our life is at stake for 10 years based on the percentages that we can get that will complete our census. And Mr. Mayor, that completes my report.
Thank you. Item E, Village Administrator Jerry Herkes.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Board. I'm going to piggyback off a little bit what the Mayor had discussed a little bit. We had a resident who had a pop-up tent situation during the last week, and after many conversations with the Mayor, our code enforcement officer, and the attorneys, as well as the Cook County Health Department, it was advised to the village to stop the operation. I have connected the operator of that program with Cook County Health so they can work out their differences and work out what needs to be done to run and operate a safe program out there. But the reason I bring it up is that we do not have an ordinance actually addressing the pop-up tent situation in this village. So I'm going to ask Trustee Todd about the Ordinance Review Committee to take a look at this in our village mobile vendor ordinance and address the pop-up tent situation for the future. I'm sure, I see the people who had the tent are here, I'm sure they have ideas to continue it. And again, this we're looking out for the best interest of the village. Again, we met with the gentleman from Marco Trucking. And yes, our biggest concern, the mayor's concern, I'm sure the village's concern, is the issue of renting out parking spots to stay overnight, which we do not want in the village. So that was addressed very clearly with the gentleman who owns that property. He has agreed. We told him that we were going to have our attorneys draft something up and get it to him to sign. He has gotten all his permits. The hardest one to get in it, if you've ever dealt with the Army Corps of Engineers, is intensely difficult. And then the Water Reclamation District is equally as difficult. So he has gotten all his permits that he needs, except for the IEPA one, which we're going to bond out for him to make sure that's all safe. He is just putting a parking lot up there, folks, and we have talked to him about landscaping, about the entrance coming in and out of the trail, and how important it is to keep that thing up to date. And we don't want to see trucks off the Sauk Trail Road. We want to see something, a little bit of a beautification program, so the evergreen trees, or some trees that are planted there, will break that up. So he's a very aggressive businessman, to say the least, but he was also very concerned about the village and wanting to do the right thing. So he has done the yeoman's job of getting those permits. He started this project a year ago, and we hadn't heard about it. So he did all the internal work. And just to make sure we were covering all of our bases, we asked our engineer to come in from Robinson to make sure all the T's were crossed and I's were dotted, so there was no problems going into the future, especially with water. Water becomes the biggest concern. Where is the water going to go? They have water management, they have a watershed, they have a water filming area. So he has got all those check marks done. And did a very good job putting it together. And we just wanted to ease some of the concerns of some of the questions that were going on and what was going on across the street from the gas and wash. Our engineer is not here this evening, but Jim is still putting together our RFP for our fire hydrant program. He's supposed to have that by the end of the month. We'll have to advertisement to get our bids and to start, hopefully to start that work by the middle or the end of November. That's the game plan that we're shooting for our hydrant program. Even a better note, our Public Works Union has agreed to allow us to get some help with our tree removal program. They are working out the specifics, and we'll have that writing to the village by the end of the week. So on behalf of the board, we'll be doing some hydrants and some trees, and moving forward on those two big projects that we want to get done. And I have mentioned this issue before, and I'll continue to keep this going, but I have communications with the realtors constantly. They have a lawsuit against the village. We've won it 3 times, and they keep bringing it back up. It costs, every time somebody sues the village, it's attorney's fees. Those are the biggest things that we're trying to avoid. They've requested some changes in our ordinance to stop the suing and stop the lawsuit. I've sent that to the mayor. I'll send that to the board tomorrow morning so you can take a look at it. It's kind of a short checklist. And then I'm going to ask again for our ordinance review committee to take a look at that and then bring it to the full board, or at least a committee to discuss, and then back to the full board if we all agree on that. And then on tonight's payroll, you'll see quite a few additional spots, some double and some triple for some of our employees. Those are retro pay. So if you see those when you're asked questions, how come the names are under 2 or 3 times, some of them are a little larger than others. That's some of the retro pay that's going out to our employees from the union contracts we have signed. Okay. Any questions, please let me know. Thank you.
Thank you. Treasurer's report, Mr. Anthony Finch.
Thank you, Mayor, Board, Madam Clerk. The cash balance as of today, October 13th, is as follows. The corporate account, we have $429,775. The reserve account is $818,000. The water sewer account is $793,763. The water sewer e-pay is $330,049. The senior center is $5,724, and line of credit is $500,000. For a total available cash for operation, $2,878,310. The restricted funds balances are as follows. In the CN account, we have $142,522. The DA account, we have $151,667. The Sauk Village Housing account, we have $1,428. The TIF account, we have $546,048. The towing account, we have $13,769. The holy money laundry account, $18,244. The spending drug account, $24,282. The spending money laundry account, $899. And in the motor fuel tax account, we have $542,688 for a total restricted funds of $1,441.56. With that, conclude my treasury report, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Report to departments. Finance and Administration, Director Michelle Royster.
Good evening. The Finance Department is requesting approval of payroll and benefits in the amount of $148,953.90 for the pay date of 9/25/2020, and in the amount of $177,476.47 for the pay date of 10/9/2020. Accounts payable register dated 10/13/2020 in the amount of $193,776.35. The forensic audit and independent audit under the supervision of the interim finance director and treasurer is progressing. We received updated requests from Sikich forensic auditors.
And we had a conference today with Miller Cooper this afternoon, and they're responsible for our village audit, annual audit. Also, we've been working in conjunction with the Public Works on the collection of water accounts. The village had over 1,200 delinquent accounts. We were not collecting during the COVID restrictions started in early March, and it was just lifted. We had 249 accounts with balances with over $600. We entered into agreements with 120 of our residents. Public Works was asked to shut off the remaining 129 accounts. Last week, Public Works serviced 47 of the remaining 129 delinquent accounts. 32 was shut off. 11 was reconnected because the residents came in and made agreements. 15 of the accounts had issues that prevented them from shutting off the water. Of the 15, there were 8 that were reported that had jet problems. There were jets. 4 were reported that they were not able to shut off because the valves were inoperable. 2 was reported as not being able to locate the valve because maybe they were buried or something like that. And we had 1 reported as a dig. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Police Department, Chief Malcolm White. You got a mic? I'm sorry. Did I miss the start button? No. Stay right here together. Okay, go to the fire department first then. I'm sorry.
No problem. That needs to be missed.
No, you're not.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The fire department responded to 140 calls for service for the period of September 17, 2020 through October 8, 2020. There were 3 calls for a possible structure fire at the same address. As it turns out, there were squatters living in there. They were using various ways to heat the house. The last fire that we got, it caused some significant damage. So we asked that if you know anyone or if anyone is actually leaving their residence, we ask that you have them secure it to the best of their ability. We would like to remind everyone that has rental property that is vacant to be sure that it's secure to prohibit the squatters. This one is very serious and dear to me, is that a reminder that COVID-19 virus is on the rise. We have been getting at least 1 to 2 calls a week for the last 3 weeks. So we're receiving more ambulance calls for possible COVID exposures. Please remember to wear your mask whenever in public and maintain social distancing. COVID-19 is not gone anywhere, so protect yourself and your family. And that concludes my report. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and the board.
Thank you. Now Chief Malcolm White.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Village Board. For the period of 9/29/2020 to the night, the police department responded to more than 418 calls for service. During the same time period, officers made over 21 arrests. At our next public board meeting, and you'll see it on my report for the next one, we will be presenting 2 officers with a commendation. Several members of the fire department also received letters of recognition. This is all based on an incident where a young lady, I believe she was 13, the 13-year-old, where there was a car accident, she was trapped underneath the vehicle. The first officers on the scene, including one officer from South Chicago Heights, assisted in stabilizing the car, keeping the young lady calm, and we actually had a citizen with the tow truck that was driving past that helped us free this young lady up. The reason why, even though it happened last summer, the reason why it took so long for us to get this before the board is because the young lady is just now getting out of the hospital. We wanted to make sure that she had a full recovery and that she would be present at the board meeting. These same officers, our two officers, as well as the one from the one from South Chicago Heights, are also being honored with the Life Saving Award from the South Suburban Chiefs Association in November. As a result of that, those same officers have also been nominated by the Illinois Chiefs Association to receive a Life Saving Award through the state, through the state association for our Illinois Chiefs. So hopefully we'll see everyone next week. I did touch base with the young lady's father. I'm sorry, not next week, the following public meeting. I did touch base with her father earlier this week, and they have promised to be in attendance. Mr. Mayor, village board, thank you for your time.
Thank you, and we look forward to having the next board meeting, which will be the 4th Tuesday of this month.
Yes, sir.
Thank you so much. Okay, reports of departments. I'm sorry. Reports of trustees. Okay. Yes, I got Alvin back in front of me. I don't know why I didn't read that. But the Emergency Management Agency, I'll read his report. It says, thank you, Mayor, Madam Clerk, Board of Trustees, and residents of Sauk Village. My apologies for my absence tonight due to my work schedule. EMA responded to 7 calls of service from the time frame of September 17, 2020 till October 9, 2020. They are as follows. September 19th, the rollover in the 216 block of Peterson. September 25th, fatal accident on Lincoln Highway and Stone. September 26th, 3-car accident in the 217 block of Peterson. October 3rd, assist other agencies, South Chicago Heights Fire Department structure fire in the 3000 block of Chicago Road. October 6th, structure fire in the 21800 block of Olivia. October 7th, assist other agency with the funeral procession of South Holland's fallen firefighter. October 9th, possible structure fire at the Sauk Village Animal Clinic. And it says, thank you, Mayor, Madam Clerk, Board of Trustees, and residents of Sauk Village. This will conclude my EMA department report. Alan, Maverick, EMA Director. Okay. Public Works Director Kevin Weller.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Been reporting from 9/22 to 10/9. Staff is still cutting grass at this time. Hopefully we'll be slowing down here next month, but 13 of the 49 locations were cut. Just a reminder to all the residents, again, that branch pickup is completed, our regular pickup, our storm damage pickup, and we do not have any dates set for anything else up until May of 2021. There's a lot of piles starting to appear out there. Hopefully we get a little help from the code enforcement to ask residents to stop doing that or pull them back. Otherwise, they're going to end up throwing them in the roadway, and we're going to have some other issues come winter, and especially with our leaf pickup program coming in November. They tend to put them in the piles, and we cannot take the branches with the leaf pickup. Staff is also out doing customer service calls. Any resident who has an issue with any water complaint, they can call the village hall, set an appointment up, whether it's a meter reading or any issues with water, they'll call the village hall and set an appointment, and customer service rep will come out and speak to them. Staff started October 2nd passing out over 200 door hangers to residents with water bill issues. Also, staff started October 7th on the water shutoffs for non-payments, and we're currently still working on those. Staff also built 2 B boxes, 1760 Carroll and 2216 215 Place. These are for resident repairs in homes. Staff also working with the clerk, and the mayor, we had set up some events. We set up the corn and dog roast and the movie in the park, and we also had 3 community events set up in the community center. Staff also removed 2 older backboards and goals and replaced with 2 new backboards, goals, and nets at the Village Hall basketball court in the back of the community center. We are getting cost estimates on resealing the court at this time. Staff also picked up a donated mosquito abatement truck from Cook County. We also did an oil change for the police department and serviced public works lawnmowers at the time. This is general maintenance that we have done. Also within the village, I know a resident came in and spoke about some street lighting. I think her concern is more that there's not enough lights on certain streets because certain sections of town might have only one on either end. The newer sections tend to have anywhere from 4 to 5 every so many houses down. But anyway, Public Works is starting we started more repairs on streetlight complaints and lights that we've noticed. We had one on Torrance Avenue, pole 54, wire to the head was repaired, the light is on. We had 2 on Calvert's Drive, just outside leaving the Village Hall here. It was the controller inside the pole, and we replaced it with a contactor, saving roughly about $400 to replacing with a different part. We had one at 1790 Peterson, the wire and fuse link got pulled loose due to a tree branch. That light has been repaired. One at 2151 to 19th Street, wire also pulled loose. That light is repaired. One at 21550 Orion, replaced the photo cell on the top, went bad. That light is working. One at 1796 Sauk Trail in Jeffrey, replaced the shorting cap. This is on a system that's on a timer system, so we put a shorting cap, which is just an on switch to that one. That one is working. 2004 216 Court, repaired a fuse link and wire that got pulled loose, unknown why. Total of 8 repairs. Staff was also called to check sewers in the village. We had a call from 22920 Eastbrook to check the main. Anytime a resident has a sewer back into their house, they'll probably want to call the village first to verify that the sanitary main is not backed up before they call the plumber. And they can call after hours to the non-emergency police number, and they will notify a foreman to have somebody come out and check. 1915 to 23rd Street, it was a main problem, it was okay. 22219 Yates, the main was okay, it was a residential problem. 22200 Peach Street, we did have a main backup on that location. We found sticks and soap debris in the manhole, which was jetted out, and that main is okay at this time. Staff also was out pothole patching at several locations. We are starting off doing, since the beginning of the year, since it's been difficult with staffing, we didn't have any part-timer help until later in the season here. So we're just getting going. The storms put us back, but we are starting pothole patching, just the general pot patch. We started in Lincoln Meadows subdivision, patching up some ones in the middle of the road. We patched up on Cornell, which were complaints from residents. Willow Tree, 225th Street, from Carolina Drive to Jeffrey Avenue, and all the way to Clyde Avenue. Staff will continue patching holes and prepare for winter. Staff started larger street repairs, doing water main breaks and other operations. 914 Mary Burn, there was a driveway apron that was replaced due to a storm sewer repair. It caved in, we repaired the storm sewer, replaced the curb, and we replaced the resident's driveway at the bottom because we had to remove some of it to do the work. Public Works Yard, we had a sinkhole near our gas island, plus we had an electrical issue underground. We have a patch going in over there. That is ongoing at this time. We're waiting for the ground to dry out. 225th Street in Yates, we had a water main break crossing the road at that location. We have repaired that roadway. 10 tons of asphalt were used in that location. We'll be moving down to Reichert in Yates, which is a street repair and a storm sewer repair from the water main break roughly about 6 to 9 months ago. And then we'll continue down to Jeffrey and Yates, which is another water main break that happened a few months prior to that. And as we move on from there, we will continue to move into areas where we can do bigger patchwork instead of just pothole patching. Staff also started some landscaping jobs. We had some slab replaced on some sidewalk slabs replaced at 21713 Gaylene. We finished the landscaping around that. We had some slabs replaced at 2147 Sauk Trail due to a water main break. That landscaping is completed. 21934 Orion was from a B-box dig. That landscaping and sidewalk are completed. 2824 223rd Place was a main break. That landscaping is complete. 2824 225th Street was a B-box. That landscaping is complete. 22831 Southbrook was a B-box. That landscaping is complete. And 914 Mary Burn from the driveway to sewer repair, that landscaping is complete. And the last item I have is Public Works still accepting applications. Apply online, please.
Okay. Thank you, Kevin. Reports of trustees and standing committees, Public Safety Committee, trustee Gary Bell.
Mr. Mayor, I want to report to Democrat Box.
Okay.
Thank you.
Public Service Committee, trustee Bernice Brewer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. My report, in your box, I put in a letter from Mr. Ayers, who's a resident of Carlisle Estate. He has been complaining about this particular property since 2014. The house was burnt down in 2014, and right now it has mold and little animals and everything going to it. So I asked the village administrator to look into it, and they want to put the property on the demolition list because it should be on there. It's been there for a while. And also the house at 2134 Popular, where it's located, at the there are children who like to play in that house. So I encourage everybody to go over there and take a look at that house, and it should be taken down, and something needs to be done about it, because the resident has been complaining about this particular property since 2014 when it burned down. So it needs to be addressed because it's a safety hazard. My second thing I want to talk about is I want to just emphasize that yes, we have money to fix some fire hydrants, and hopefully we'll get the RFP done in the next 2 weeks so we can get that project started before the real hard winter sets in. The third thing is that I need to talk to Mr. Kirkus about this, because I think we need an RFP to get for the trees. We have the information from Mr. Overrock, I think his name is, where we can start on the tree, but we need the RFPs, right? So can we get that done too at the same time? Yeah, so I mean, because we need to do them, because that's also a time-sensitive issue, and we should go and address that. And my last thing is that I just found out I have some money. Well, I shouldn't have money, but we have money that could be used for pothole repairs in the Carlisle Estate and on the street of Talandis. So I would like to put that on the agenda for next week so we could talk about it and see what we could do about doing something for residents in those two particular areas for MFT funds that we have available. And that's the end of my report.
Okay.
MFT funds. I don't know. I don't want to quote you because I think it's a little bit more. Yeah, but just say MFT funds. Yeah.
So you want to put on the agenda next week?
So we can discuss
this money that you said we have for just that particular item, or is it
these two particular areas, Carlisle Estates and Talandis.
For repair streets? Is that what that is?
Well, we're gonna talk about infrastructure, but I was hoping it'd be for potholes, but I can't make that determination by myself. That's a discussion that I put on the board.
You can't take houses down in there too much.
What did you say?
You cannot take homes down with MFT money.
I'm talking about the home on 2134 Popular. It was the first thing that has nothing to do with MFT funds.
Okay. That concludes your report.
Yeah.
Thank you. Budget and Finance Committee, trustee Roger Grant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Quick comment. I asked the finance director if she can put together a report for us, what she said she would do within the next 2-3 weeks, and come to the board about how we're doing so far. This is currently month 6, So we're almost halfway through the fiscal year. So we just kind of want to see where all the department heads are at and with their departments, and then make necessary cutbacks or just see what we need to do going forward. But it'll give us a good check to see how we're doing so far. And that's all I have, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Housing and Governmental Relations Committee, Trustee Sherry Zeski.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just a comment. Village Administrator, I think before the inspection ordinances go to the ordinance review, they need to go back to housing. It took months for us to get those passed, and some of their requests were put in those ordinances, and then there were several changes done by the attorneys, I guess because of state statutes. I can see if the committee can meet maybe next Wednesday at 7 o'clock. I'm going to see if they're available, though. Okay, that concludes what I have to say.
Ordinance Review Committee, Trustee Linda Todd.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ordinance Review Committee is going to meet this Thursday, 6 p.m. here in the Rotunda, October 15th, to discuss some of the issues that we talked about tonight. And one is, I guess we're waiting to hear on the legal part of it when it comes to that pop-up they were talking about. So we want to look at that ordinance. So hopefully we'll have it by Thursday from the attorneys, because I think they're looking at it now. And then we're going to review it. We'll bring it back to the board next Tuesday.
Public Events, Trustee Debbie Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. On the back table on the left, there are a few things that you might want to pick up on your way out if you didn't pick it up on your way in. Number one is the 2020 Public Events Calendar. We pretty much have everything listed through December, but the month of October is very busy. We are going to have the public events food box distributions on the 24th and the 31st at Bloom Trail High School at 9 a.m. The trucks have been coming pretty early, like closer to 7:30 a.m. So food box distribution has really been starting as early as 8 o'clock. And are best advised that you line up by 8 a.m. When they're gone, it's while supplies last. Again, that's free food box distributions, courtesy of the USDA on the 24th and 31st at Bloom Trail High School. Lineup is at 8 o'clock. This Saturday, the Southland Voice is having their free food box distribution at Columbia Middle School in Stager. The address is 94 West Park Avenue. Also on the 24th of October, the same day as the food distribution, there is a blood drive from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. in the Senior Center right here in Sauk Village. We are also allowing the Bloom Trail High School students to earn their service hours, and we're partnering with them and allowing them to also take advantage of our our blood drive space. So we're going to have a chance for double donations that day. We have an opportunity to take a lot of blood that day. So we're looking forward to seeing a lot of people. The 31st is also very busy, as the mayor has already alluded to. The trunk or treat, the trick or treat. The library has their program from 11 to 2. So we have a lot going on October 31st. In November, you'll see that we do have plans for, we normally have a sit-down dinner for our veterans in the Senior Center. What we're going to do is a drive-through. Registration is required for veterans, and it will be at Bambino's in Stager. So I'm going to start soliciting veterans to RSVP. Up to 100 veterans will receive an early Thanksgiving dinner on November 13th at the Bambino's restaurant in Stager. This is all listed on this calendar on the back page, as well as what's happening in Sauk Village is back there. It gives you a lot of information about what's going on in Sauk Village. And there's also a form there that tells you about your free food pop-ups. And finally, the committee is attempting to do an Affy Tapple fundraiser. And the reason we're doing that is so that we can find some COVID-friendly snacks to pass out to the children on Halloween. So we are taking orders for taffy apples and other assorted goods from Affy Tapple. If you're interested, please contact me, Debbie Williams. My phone number is 708-351-8922. My phone number is on every single one of my flyers, and it's also on my voicemail at the Village Hall if you have an occasion to call and if you have any questions. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That concludes my report.
Thank you. Senior Advisory Council Committee Chairman, Mr. Farmer.
Yeah, no report, Mr. Mayor, just ask all you all just, to listen to prayer for our seniors, you know, as COVID starts to rise.
Thank you. Okay, new business. I'll accept the motion to approve the payroll and accounts payable disbursement for $520,206.72.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by trustee Bell, second by trustee Jazinski. Any questions? Yes, trustee Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I noticed that it was stated earlier that there's some retro payments on the payroll, but I also wanted to make mention that on tonight's payroll, there's an entry for retro pay for our interim finance director in the amount of $10,769.20 as a result of a payment differential from what he should have been paid by ordinance 18009 that was dated March 28, 2018 to the time that that ordinance was amended, where the salary of the treasurer was brought back down to $6,000. This was done when I was not on the board, but I was wondering, was there a budget amendment when the ordinance was passed in 2018? That's ordinance 18-009, when the salary of the treasurer was fixed, and that's the word that's in the ordinance, fixed at a rate of more than $8,000 of what the rate was originally. Was there an ordinance, a budget amendment? Because that happened in January. So when they changed the salary of the treasurer, was there a budget amendment? And that's my first question. And number two, why is it when this treasurer came in as a treasurer, not the finance director, but as a treasurer, why did he not get the same salary that was approved by ordinance on that date, March 28, 2018, which has now caused a retro payment? Because we did not change that ordinance back to $6,000 until 2020. So are you aware of the differential?
Okay, I'm aware of the differential because we did give him more because at the time he was doing more. There was an ordinance passed for the $14,000 and then it was amended back to the $8,000. So I'm assuming that's what the retro pay is in lieu of. That was about a year, like you stated. There was the ordinance for the $14,000, but then it was changed and it was done again, amended back to the $8,000. And you're asking why was he?
No, my question, I'll repeat it. My question was, in January of, actually it's March, but you retrodated it to that particular treasurer to January of 2018. My question was, when you changed the salary of the treasurer in the middle of a budget, did you amend the budget to allow for the extra $8,000 that you paid that treasurer at that time? And then when the new treasurer came in, for some reason, they didn't get the amount of money they were due per ordinance, so now we're ending up having to do a retro pay. So the other retro pays on the accounts payable are because of union increases or salary increases from the beginning of this budget. But I wanted to point out to the trustees before they approve this payroll that you know that there is a payment for a payment differential for the treasurer in the amount of $10,769.20.
You want to answer? Okay. Trustee,
So I'll help explain or answer your question. So at that time, we did not do a budget amendment because what happened was at that time, the current finance director had a decrease in his salary of the same amount that the treasurer was given. So it was a wash, it was a net, so there was no reason to do a budget amendment. So to answer your first question. The second question is, I believe when the treasurer was brought on board, nobody just informed the payroll clerk that, because they don't know. You know, they run daily operations, they don't know what goes on legislative-wise, so nobody informed that person to go ahead and make the salary X instead of Y. So that has never happened. It was a slip between the cracks, that's all it was.
So Mr. Mayor, since I wasn't on the board at the time, I appreciate the explanation from Trustee Grant. However, what you just stated was you took $8,000 from an existing employee and you gave it to the treasurer simply by ordinance. You didn't change the budget, but you removed $8,000 from the salary of the city employee. Is that what you're telling me? Was that done by ordinance? Because you altered a person's salary in the middle of a budget year. Was that done by any type of ordinance or discussion? I wasn't here on the board at the time. So you're saying you can wash out $8,000 that you took from a city employee and you can there go and add it to a treasurer who's an officer of the village. And you consider that a wash?
Number one, it's a wash. What happened, well, and the mayor can explain it, at that time, there were certain duties that the finance director was not doing anymore that was going to the treasurer. That's it.
Thank you for the explanation.
Is it return, is it in regard to the motion?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, just add a few comments. Use the mic, please. Just to add a few comments, we were on the, I was on the board during that time, and the finance director at that time salary was decreased by $8,000, and the money was given to the new treasurer at $8,000. So these are two different positions, so the money was decreased from one and added to the other one. There was no ordinance to address this issue, so therefore it is illegal, and that's something I've been saying all the time. You cannot decrease or increase a person's salary in the middle of a budget year, but it was done. And it was also not, well, I guess we did know about it, but you know, we did not vote on it, so that's why you can't find an ordinance or anything for it. There was no budget amendment. These are two different positions, and we did not address it in the proper way. Just the end of my comment. And I guess.
Did you have a comment on this?
I sure do. I can remember that period in 2018.
Oh,
you're welcome. We had quite a bit of discussion in executive board and then out here as well. So therefore, trustees, if you would be more comfortable, I will research the minutes from exec board as well as from the board, because that language and that information will certainly be there to make the determination so that you can see how it was determined and if in fact there was a vote. I can't promise you there was a vote, but I know that there was a lot of discussion concerning that.
18009, the ordinance number.
I was going on minutes.
Oh, okay.
But I'll check.
All right.
Okay. Any other questions?
8500.
All right. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Trustee Grant?
Yes.
Trustee Jazinski?
Yes.
Trustee Todd?
Yes.
Trustee Williams?
Yes.
Trustee Bell?
Yes.
Trustee?
Yes.
Motion carried. All right, motion to approve the following, it says on there, the following consent agenda. I'm always reluctant when I have a consent agenda because all it takes is one person to not agree and then it's not a consent agenda. So what we're going to do is, okay, that makes sense. Is there anyone that is not in agreement of this consent? Oh, well, that's what I'm saying. Is there anyone, any trustee, that has a problem with the consent agenda, would like to have anything on the consent agenda taken off of the consent and voted on separate?
I do, Mr. Mayor.
Okay.
Item 11B.5,
Okay,
to
so
vote
then
on
if you
separate. Do I have to make a motion?
No, if you're gonna do one, then I'm just gonna have to do them all.
No.
So that's the only one you have?
Yeah, that's the only one.
Is anyone, any other trustee? So everyone else is okay with everything else except for item 11, is that 11B2?
Now it's 11B5.
Or 11B5? Okay,
Mr. Mayor,
yes.
let's just clarify that. All that's being asked is that the research is done.
I
Is
understand.
that what
Yes.
we're doing? That's all you want to know about the research?
Which one, 11B5?
Yes.
Because it's talking about, putting.
You asked me to have this put on the, you asked me to have this put on the ballot.
No, I don't have, well, that's mine.
Right,
That's research. To approve, to research.
okay.
That's research.
Yes.
Research. That's research.
I was under the impression that you're gonna bring us something
I was still
this week.
research.
Oh, okay.
Right. Newspapers is-
Okay.
I'm research.
Again, is there anything, any other item on the agenda that? Okay, but then we'll go, except for that particular one, we'll go down the line. I'll ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda, except for item 11B5.
So moved. Second.
It's moved by trustee Williams and second by trustee Jazinski. Any questions? Madam Clerk?
Trustee Jazinski?
Yes.
Trustee Todd?
Yes.
Trustee Williams?
Yes.
Trustee Bell?
Yes.
Trustee Brewer?
Yes.
Trustee Grant?
Yes.
Motion carried. Item 11B5. I'll ask for a motion to approve to research the placement of a question of public policy on the April 6, 2021 ballot, requesting legal voters in the village of Sauk Village to determine whether the village should pursue its own United States postal zip code. Okay, it's moved by trustee Todd, second by trustee Bell. Any questions? I do have a question. What is the deadline to have it placed on the ballot for April? What is the deadline? We have to,
We have mid-November.
mid-November, okay. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Trustee Todd?
Yes.
Trustee Williams?
Yes.
Trustee Bell?
Yes.
Trustee Brewer? Yes.
Go ahead. Go, you got two more people. You have two more people.
He answered my question, that's what, he answered my question.
Trustee Grant?
Yes.
Yes, the building is, he answered the question.
Motion is carried.
But I
I thought you said.
I thought you heard.
Yes, you did.
Oh, you did?
Yes.
You answered. You answered. Did I?
Can you read off what the consent agenda items were, just for the record, for the residents?
Okay, item 11B1, approval of a supplemental resolution for improvement under the Illinois Code, Highway Code for the 221st culvert replacement. Item 11B2, approve a resolution approving an intergovernmental and subrecipient agreement for the coronavirus relief fund between Cook County and the village of Sauk Village. Item number 11B3, approve a resolution approving an intergovernmental agreement for the provision of environmental health inspectional services. Item 11B4, approve the ordinance for the cable television franchise agreement by and between the village of Sauk Village and Comcast. Item 11B5, approve the agreement to research of a question of public policy on April 6, 2021 ballot requesting legal voters in the village of Sauk Village to determine whether the village should pursue its own United States postal zip code. Item 11B6, approve the Muni Code estimate for the supplement number 2 to code for ordinances for $3,626.30. Item 11B7, approve a resolution approving the contractual subscription agreement between Paylocity Corporation and the Village of Sauk Village. And item C, oh, I'm sorry, that's it. Okay, now we have to go with the next one. The next item is a motion to approve an ordinance amending ordinance 20-019 dated September 29, 2020. An ordinance creating the position of the finance director, assistant finance director, payroll specialist, and assistant fire department administrator. I think we did this one, but we also have to include the position of public works director.
Second.
Moved by trustee Williams, second by trustee Todd. Any questions?
Question. I believe this is one that we asked last week. Were there any more positions to be added? I don't know if we ever got an answer on that. So, I mean, you know, again, this is the one that we're going to amend, like the clerk was saying earlier. We had this chance to do this 2 weeks ago, or at least wait and do it now. That never happened. And I still don't understand why this is one ordinance and for 5 different positions. There should be 5 different ordinances. That doesn't make sense to me. And that's all I have now.
Any other questions?
I have a comment. Mr. Mayor, these positions were created back in, most of them were created.
Microphone, please.
Mr. Mayor, most of these positions were created back in May of 2017, especially the one for the assistant finance director, the payroll specialist, and this, well, they should have human resources, but that wasn't approved until later. But these particular positions were created May of 2017 without the advice and consent of the board. Therefore, we had to go back according to the attorney and approve these ordinances for these positions in order to do the appropriation. You cannot appropriate positions when they haven't been created. So a lot of questions were asked, why did we have to go back and put in ordinances for these positions, but these positions were created without the advice and consent of the board, and therefore that's what we had to go back and sort of do it. And I have all the copies, and everybody should have a copy from the attorney where it was his opinion that we had to do these ordinances and you know, get those things approved so we could do the appropriations. However, I think the public works director and also the finance director, there was no finance director position here in the village as I understand it. So those positions were created and we had to do the ordinance in order to get them back on board. And everybody got copies of the letters from the attorney where he recommended that we do the ordinances to do these positions that were created back in 2017.
Finance director, since I've been here, that position's always been there. I don't know why you said that was never created. And since I've been involved in the village, as far as I know, we've always had a finance director. We've always called finance director. So to say that that was never a position is not true. But we have a motion on the floor. We have a question. Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Well, that's what the current attorney told us.
Trustee.
According to the attorney, that's what he told us.
Trustee, okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
What is that?
Trustee Bell.
Yes.
Trustee Brewer.
Yes.
Trustee Grant.
Yes.
Trustee Jones. Yes. Trustee Todd.
Yes.
Motion carried. This next item, motion to approve the village request for RFP for home inspection. I've read through this today for the first time. I didn't get a chance to see it. And I think there's some things on here that need to be corrected before this is even brought up. Because the way it's stated that these bids will be opened on a Friday. And these bids should be opened with the board, at the board meetings, that we always do open bids. So I don't think we should be opening bids on a Friday afternoon or any other time other than at a proper board meeting. So I like to see that that is changed before it actually gets voted on. So I would like to table that until that time. That language has to be changed because we shouldn't be doing any type of opening of bids unless it is at a regular board meeting. Okay, so then we'll wait for this and we'll bring it back before the board. Yes, I'm asking that motion be tabled. I ask for a motion to have that tabled. Moved by trustee Williams, second by trustee Todd. Any questions? Madam Clerk.
Trustee Bell.
Yes.
Trustee Brewer.
Yes.
Trustee Grant.
Yes.
Trustee Jacinski.
Yes.
Trustee Todd. Yes. Trustee Drew.
Yes.
Motion carried. General comments from the mayors and trustees. Trustee Williams.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to mention that I have once again gone on Google Sauk Village, Illinois. And when you Google Sauk Village, Illinois, the very first page that comes up, if I was a person that was looking for a home or looking for a business, and I Google Sauk Village, Illinois, the first thing I get is the Sauk Village, Illinois Facebook page. That page is not an official page of Sauk Village, Illinois. However, they do use our name, they do use our logo, and they discredit most of our board and some of our departments, particularly our Public Works Department and our Fire Department and our village administrator, and anybody that they feel is not worthy of respect, they totally will rip you up in Sauk Village, Illinois. I can speak on that because my name is Heavy Debbie. You know what? I laugh. That just shows your mentality and your childishness. And I am here as a representative of the residents in this village as a trustee. And if you feel that you can discredit me and that's going to bother me, that just shows me how low you can go. And anybody who thinks that that page is reputable, think about it. The things that they report on and the things that they lie about are ridiculous. And when is the last time you heard anything about anybody doing any good in the village if it wasn't for just certain people? Like, do you ever hear about the free food pop-ups? Do you ever hear about the blood drives? Do you ever hear about the free COVID testing? Is there anything positive that me or any of the other trustees or some of our other departments have done on that page? And the answer is simply no. Because they are childish, again, I will say it. They are childish, and it's very one-sided, and it's very political. And the worst part of it is they use our name and they use our logo. So if you Google Sauk Village, Illinois, before you see the official Sauk Village, Illinois Facebook page, what you're going to see is a little blurb in small writing that says this is not the official page. But then when you open up that page, our logo, our older logo, where it says the original Sauk Village, is right there. I'm offended by that. I'm not offended by what they call me or what they say about me because I have too much respect for myself. But what I don't like is how they use our logo and our name and how one-sided they are and how they discredit our employees and our board members, because I think we need to be more serious about what we're doing when it comes to our village and how we communicate to people who may be looking for a home or may be looking for a business. If I were to open that page before I do anything else, I would keep on traveling to the next town on whatever website I could find. Because to think that even a little bit of what they say on that page is true, I would keep on stepping. So there are people that have control over that page. I just want them to know that you are the company that you keep. And if you continue to go be that low, you are representing some people that if I were them, I wouldn't want anybody like that representing me. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. That's the end of my report.
Trustee Jacinski. Trustee Brewer.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just want to emphasize that Sauk Village is not home rule. it came to our attention that the assistant finance director, the payroll administrator, and the fire administrator were all created by the mayor. This was done without the advice and consent of the board, which is illegal and is, according to state statute, it has to be done by ordinance. So what we're trying to go back to do now is to clean up some of the stuff that was done back in 2017, which we had no control over. These positions were never brought before the board at that time, and these were just created by the mayor on his own. Therefore, we could not take responsibility, even the former trustees could not take responsibility for what happened. Even during that time, the HR person was actually, no, she wasn't doing that, but HR person was also part of the Orange Group, who was hired by the mayor after the Orange Group found some kind of discrepancy of what she was doing. So the point that I'm trying to make that whenever you create a position, and I have the attorney and the state's attorney backs up, if you're going to create a position, you have to do it by ordinance, okay? In order to get those people paid, we have to have appropriations, and you cannot appropriate any money unless an ordinance is there. No ordinances were there, so the employees have been paid over 2 years, and they were created without ordinances. So I just want to emphasize the fact that the mayor might find this funny, but that if somebody wanted to come and sue us, they could have did it at that time, because we had nothing to do with protecting ourselves. The trustees did not even vote on that. This is something that was beyond our control. So that's the end of my comment.
Trustee Todd?
I have nothing this time.
Trustee Grant?
I'll make a comment. The positions talked about, finance director, public works director, like the mayor said, been here 60 years. And so, yeah, we've gotten it wrong 60 years. But doesn't mean that, but I mean, we talk about all the positions. I just picked some, we're talking about all of them. So therefore, we are correcting it now. We know about it, so we know better, we do better. And that's what we're doing. If there's any other positions, like I asked, could we please, or should we add that as well, so that way we have no other problems in the future? And that's all the comment I have. Thank you.
Trustee Bell? I just have a couple of things. November 13th, I'm sorry, November 11th, I don't know why I said 13th. November 11th is Veterans Day. We do always have a celebration, and we will continue to have a celebration here for the veterans. It'll be at 11 o'clock here in Village Hall. So if you're a veteran, please, we're going to put this on our website, and please come out, and we would like to honor you for the service that you've done for our country. So that'll be on November 11th at 11 o'clock here in the Village Hall. So I appreciate if we can get, pass the word out. It'll be on the e-news, e-blast, to honor our veterans. And that's an honor. It's not a memorial, it's an honor. We honor our veterans on that day. And the next thing I'd like to say, and I'm going to be done with it, yes, this is election time, so we're going to hear a lot of this back and forth. And act, all you have to do is use your own mind, your own brain, and vote for that. But I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole. I'm not going to subscribe to that, anything like that. But the only thing I can say is this village is for everyone, not just a few or whatever. It's for everyone. So freedom of speech is the freedom of speech. And so I'd just like to say thank you very much. And also, I'll accept the motion.
Can we talk about Mr. Finch's thing tomorrow? Mr. Finch's talk?
I didn't announce that.
I'm asking you, really?
Yes, it's announced. I think it's at 5:30. Is it at 5:30? Okay, talk with the treasurers at 5:30 tomorrow here at Village Hall. Again, as I said before, when the trustees come, we cannot converse back and forth because that's a one-way. And this is what I found out from the lawyer, so that was the reason why I said this last time. So That being said, I'll accept the, motion to adjourn.
Second.
Moved by trustee Bell, second by trustee Todd, all in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Good night.